Team of Vipers is the latest book about the Trump White House. Hi, thanks for watching. Today, I want to give you my review of the latest book about the Trump White House. It's called Team of Vipers by Cliff Sims. Now, right off the bat, it's a dumb name for a book. I'm not even sure who the Vipers are and who the team of the Vipers are, and are Vipers actually a team? They're usually not, they're more individual. Dumb name, whatever. Let's move past the title of the book. And this is written by Cliff Sims. He was a mid-level staffer on the communications team for the Trump White House. So he was not a high-level person, but he was not a low-level person. I know that he's been referred to as a gopher. He probably did a lot of that, but it seems that he did a lot more than just be a gopher at the White House. This is a different book than, say, Bob Woodward's Fear or Michael Wolff's Fire and Fury, both of which I read and reviewed on this channel last year. This book really gives you the feeling of being there. It's as if this guy Cliff was in a lot of meetings and encounters and conversations where he was just kind of on the side taking notes. And he probably was. He was probably in all these meetings and conversations, and he did take really good notes about what people said. And I think that that was a real positive thing about this book, because you really got the understanding of how people talked and the expressions they used, the language they used. And I think he captured it really well. Now, at the end of the book, he does make the claim that it wasn't until after he left the White House that he decided that he might write a book. I'm not sure I believe that. I kind of get the feeling that he was going to do this all along. And good for him if that's what he was going to do, because I think he did a lot of great note-taking on conversations. One of the criticisms about him is that he would often show up and was to the side in meetings that he might not have been invited to, and he was always standing around in things that maybe didn't concern him. Well, that's the exact thing you would want to do if you were going to write a tell-all book, right? So congratulations to Cliff. I know that in this he revealed that Spicer screwed him out of $30,000 in salary and just told him he should be, happy to have the job. So the fact that he got $1 million, I heard, for writing this book, well, congrats to him. He was playing the long game. But that's what I really got from this book. I really did get to see an insider's view of what was happening in the White House. It was really apparent that there were two teams, if you will. There was the Trump loyalists, the people from the campaign, and then all of the RNC people that were brought in to the White House after he won. And they had very different goals. And it was interesting to hear the stories about that. And so I think he did a great job of explaining that. Now, many of the stories that he talked about, there were details that I didn't care about. Is this book written really well? Well, you don't buy a tell-all book for the prose or the fantastic descriptions, right? You buy a tell-all book for the stories. And so there were lots of good stories that he conveyed in this book. And that's what sets it apart, I think, than the other books that have been written about the White House so far. In fact, I probably enjoyed this book more so than the other books that have come out about the White House. Now, I know Trump has been critical of this, saying that he was a low-level staffer he hardly knew. I'm not sure why he feels that way. That could just be general principle. Anybody that he sees as disloyal, he's going to put down. But Sims is a real Trump fan, and everything in this book, I think, puts Trump in a pretty good light. And he does a real good job of explaining the way that Trump thinks and processes. I think this is, it's pretty much like a fanboy, book. He's very positive about Melania and Pence and Kushner and Ivanka. It's overall pretty positive to everyone that Trump cares about. So I'm not sure if you're looking for a book that's going to destroy Trump or tear him apart. I'm not sure that this is the best book for that. Likewise, though, what I really got out of this was I felt that I understood Trump's process and a little bit more about the man than I have already. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that someone that is this powerful and this well-known, if you can understand how they go about things, then you can know what to expect from them. And I think that one of the problems with the critics of the president, it's as if they don't want to learn how he thinks. They don't want to understand him. They just want to be offended and shocked and just go back to the orange man bad type of thing. But I think if you understand the man better, you will be able to negotiate with him better, and you might be able to get more things done that you want to get done. So that's one of the main things that I got out of this book. Now, I just have to say, I am not a fan of anybody that does write a tell-all book. They seem like a weasel to me. I just resent anybody that does that. On a personal level, anybody that tells me something, I put in the vault and I don't share it with anyone, no matter how trivial it is. That's my own code of ethics. But, if everybody had my code of ethics, right, we wouldn't get this book. So I think that this is an interesting book. Is it worth your time? It depends on how full your life is. It took me a week and a day to read. But if you do read this book, I think you'll have a better understanding of what's going on in the White House, the clash of power between the RNC and the Trump loyalists. And yeah, I think that that's a good thing to do if you're interested in really understanding the world. I don't think many people are, though. Some of the stories that I found to be the most interesting was he talked about doing a draft for Kellyanne, and he was sitting at her iBook typing up a thing about how she's not a leaker. And meanwhile, her iMessages were synced on that laptop as well, and he kept seeing individual messages pop up how she was going back and forth with everybody in the mainstream media, including lots of people that were trashing Trump on a daily basis. That's, I think, a really interesting story. We wouldn't get that from anyone else. I think he did a fine job talking about General Kelly and how he was running things, and really gave you an idea as to what his philosophy was for the staff. He had some insight into Trump. One of the things was that he talked about how Trump would always talk about friends of his or people that he'd talked to, but he would never name, and he used this device all the time. And it's funny, I hadn't picked up on that until I read it in the book, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, Trump does do that quite a bit. So overall, it's an okay book. Would I recommend it? It depends on how valuable your time is. I'm glad I read it. It wasn't a waste of my time. I feel like I have a better understanding of the White House and the internal politics there. So for that, I would recommend it. If you have seen the book, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. You can help me reach my goal of 1 million, make that 4,000 subscribers by hitting the like button and subscribing. Thanks.